I left my actor boyfriend at the lowest point of his life. A year later, he became a box office king with over $1 billion in earnings. At the award ceremony, on the stage, he got down on one knee and proposed to his leading lady. A reporter asked him, "Now that you've built your career and your romantic life is thriving, who are you most grateful to?" He smiled, bright and cocky, and looked straight into the camera as he answered the question. "My deepest thanks go to my former manager. If you hadn't dumped me, I wouldn't have pushed myself so hard. Thanks to that breakup, I was able to play such a great role. So here's to you, hope your life sucks forever." The reporter's face stiffened as she handed him a tablet showing the day's trending headline. Great N Graves ex-manager final 3 years vlog. Great N's smile froze. The vlog chronicled the final years of my life, battling ALS after I broke up with him. Who paid for that trending headline? Great N Graves instinctively masked his emotions, putting on a half-laughing, half-helpless expression for the camera. "Come on, it's obviously fake, right? Sure, I hated Cheryl back then and maybe even wished she'd disappear. But curse her to die? That's way too far." He thought it was his rival trying to sabotage him at the worst possible moment. But the reporter said nothing and simply handed him the tablet. And there, on the screen, was my face, looking a little stiff and awkward. I was sitting by the window, soft light pouring in through the sheer curtains. "Hi, I'm Cheryl Osborne," I said softly. My voice was a bit hoarse, but I didn't bother to re-record. "This is my 18th take. I deleted the first 17, they were too heavy, too dramatic, like I was writing my will. That's not what I want this to be. What was I gonna say? Oh, right, I broke up with him today." I stared at the camera for a few seconds, and then I smiled faintly. I was the one who ended it. I told him I was tired, that I couldn't keep doing this, and that I didn't want to keep chasing dreams with him in Hollywood. But honestly, I just didn't want him to see me like this, getting worse and worse. My hand twitched slightly on the table, my fingers barely obeying me anymore. My hand shook badly as I lifted a glass of water. I took a sip, and the glass hit my teeth with a clink. I couldn't help but laugh. "See? Like this, how could I still be his manager? I can't even hold a cup properly. How am I supposed to help him land gigs, revise scripts, and run lines? He's an actor, he's meant to be in the spotlight. I'd just drag him down." Outside the window, the wind stirred the curtains gently. Of course, I wanted to leave him with something a little more dignified to remember. God, I really wanted to stay with him, forever, but I can't. The doctor said, "It's ALS." And my first thought was, well, at least it's not contagious. I lowered my head and chuckled. I don't know how long I'll be able to speak. Pretty soon, maybe all I'll have is blinking to say yes or no. Great N's got too much on his plate. He deserves a better life. I paused for a moment, and then I pulled the camera a little closer. My face had thinned. My skin was still pale and smooth, but no amount of makeup could hide the blue shadows under my eyes. Actually, I'm really glad I got to be with when things were the hardest for him. When he failed the audition, the crew disappeared, and he didn't even have enough in his account to cover rent. I helped him chase down casting calls. I helped him memorize his 300-word self-introduction. I stayed up all night rewriting scenes when he hit a block in his acting. He crashed on the couch while I sat on the balcony writing proposals until morning. I'm not saying this to take credit. I just really wanted to say, I never once regretted being with Great N. Not even now. I looked up at the camera, my voice barely above a whisper, like speaking in a dream. I just wanted to leave a little earlier. So maybe, if he hates me, it'll help him move on faster. I let my hands fall to my lap. They ached. I could barely lift them anymore. I filmed this vlog so that one day, when I can no longer move, I can still play this back, just to hear myself speak. It's April 2025. I came back home for a visit. Standing in front of the old house where Grandma and I used to live, I hadn't even inserted the key yet when the door gently creaked open with a push. The air inside smelled of dust, dampness, and a faint, familiar scent of cat. "Kitty McSnuggles," I called out. A beam of sunlight cut through the window. An orange cat jumped down from the sill and circled my legs gracefully. Her tail stood high like she was claiming her territory, or welcoming an old friend home. I smiled. "You still remember me, huh?" The camera shook a little. Chantal Levitt was adjusting the gear. She was fresh out of college. I just hired her as my assistant videographer. I sat on the front steps, hugging my knees. The cat curled up beside me, purring like a distant dream. "Her name's Kitty McSnuggles. Great N and I rescued her as a kitten when we were kids." I turned slightly to the camera, my tone gentle. "Great N and we've known each other since we were little. His house was right next door. Back then, he wasn't great at school, so I'd help him with homework, or pretend to. He'd doodle little stick figures in my notebook and say one day he'd be a star and act in scripts I wrote." I laughed softly. He talked big, but somehow, he made it happen. A talent scout spotted him when he was 16. It was summer evening. He had a guitar slung over his back and told me goodbye. I remember he was sweating like crazy in a denim jacket. He told me, "I'm leaving first. When you get into a uni in the city, we'll meet again there." I didn't cry, didn't ask him to stay, just nodded and told myself, I'll make it. I have to. The cat stirred. I reached out to stroke her back. And I did. I chewed through 3 English vocab books, didn't even take any cram classes, got into the best media uni in the city all on my own. Eventually, I became his manager. I got him gigs, secured endorsements, scheduled press, pulled all-nighters handling scandals. I stood by him through 2 of the toughest years of his career. I thought I'd be by his side forever. I took a quiet breath, my eyes drifting toward a beat-up box in the corner of the yard. She had kittens. I paused. Kitty McSnuggles gave birth right there, where we used to stack firewood. Picked a pretty good spot. The camera followed me as I walked over and crouched down. A handful of kittens lay curled together, their eyes still shut, nestled against their mother's belly. Just now, Graydon messaged me again, I said. He said he wants to properly say goodbye this time. Said he doesn't want me to regret anything. I didn't reply. I tucked my hair behind my ear. Regret? How could I ever regret anything? I don't regret giving him everything I had to stay by his side. I always believed, really believed, he'd make it big one day. That everyone would love him. If I could have, I'd have stayed with him forever. It's just that. My lashes dropped, and my voice went soft again. ALS isn't something I can control. I was his manager. And, I used to be his girlfriend. That used to be caught in my throat and came out slow. But he doesn't need a manager with ALS. He doesn't need a girlfriend who'll hold him back. I looked up and smiled. He's Graydon Graves. He belongs where the lights shine the brightest. I finished talking and reached down to pick up a kitten. But the next second, my arm froze. Like something had gripped it. My shoulder wouldn't budge. My fingers wouldn't curl. I stayed locked in place like a paused frame in a film. Even the light seemed to stop moving. I smiled at the camera one last time. See? Like this, how could I ever stay with him? It's still April 2025. I spent the night at the old house, sleeping with Kitty McSnuggles. She must have sensed I wasn't feeling well. She didn't leave my side the whole time. I was sitting on the stone floor in the small courtyard. The sunlight was slowly fading like even the sky couldn't quite bring itself to say goodbye just yet. The old cat lay heavy and quiet in my arms, ears twitching just a little, her nose softly humming, as if she was trying to match my silence. I ran my fingers gently over the bony ridges along her back, careful like I was scared it might hurt her. You have to promise me something, okay? I looked into her eyes. Once your kittens are grown up, when they can eat, chase bugs, and jump up on the courtyard wall, you need to come find me. She didn't answer, just flicked her tail slightly like she did hear me. Come find me at my grave, alright? I said softly, my nose starting to clog a little. I'll be waiting there, just like you used to wait for me at the door every night. You still have to be my cat. Don't go running off to someone else's home. I used to think, once you got old, I'd bring you to Graydon's place. Out in the countryside. It's quiet there. Lots of space. I lowered my head, smiling faintly. He's all tough talk, but he's soft inside. If you cuddled up to him a little, he'd probably let you sleep on his bed. I really thought I'd grow old with you both. I stroked her ear. She squinted her eyes, and a familiar purr rose from deep in her chest. You remember Graydon, don't you? I looked out into the distance. When you were a kitten, you didn't care much for him. Always avoided that little feather toy he waved around to tease you. He used to get jealous, remember? Said you only liked me and not him. Later on, well, you still didn't like him much. I smiled again, my eyes drifting into the warm blur of twilight. But hey, listen, if one day he thinks of you and wants to take you in, don't turn him down. I know you were never close, but things are different now. Mom, can't take care of you anymore. My voice cracked just for a second, but I kept it steady. So you have to go snuggle up to Dad now, okay? Just, don't claw at his pants again. You know he hates that. You didn't know better back then. But now, do it for me. Show him just how good of a cat you are. She suddenly looked up and licked my fingertips. I hugged her a little tighter. The camera wobbled slightly. Chantal didn't say a word, just quietly zoomed in on the cat curled in my lap. Look at her. I gave the camera a soft smile. My voice felt like it could float away. She's been with me for 17 years. When I fell into a well as a kid, she tugged at my shirt and meowed until someone came to help. When I skipped school crying in elementary, she waited for me on the balcony. The year Graydon moved to the city, she curled up in my arms and stayed with me for 3 whole days and nights. She knows me better than Graydon ever did, but I still have to go. She's not getting any younger either. No matter how much I wish she could, she can't stay with me forever. And no matter how much I wish to stay, I can't take her with me. I looked down. Her eyes were closed like she was sunbathing. So you have to promise me. I said it clearly, every word steady. Once you've raised your babies, when your legs can't carry you anymore, come find me. I'll be right there, waiting. Don't be scared. I paused. My body felt stiff and still for what felt like forever, until she finally looked up and gently nuzzled my hand. In the frame, sunlight caught the whiskers on her face like spring snow landing on water, slowly melting away. Kitty McSnuggles, Mom's illness is getting worse.